Oh. Namah Shiva. Shiva is God. Shiva is this reality. Shiva is the yogi. Shiva turns venom into life, taking it upon himself. Shiva destroys, with this blue beam of wisdom power, destroys falsity and truth. Untruth, rather. Shiva destroys what is not true and sees what is true and helps us do the same when we see the aspect of ourselves that is Shiva. Shiva will take on other forms if need be to help beings who can't receive help in the form of Shiva. Too offensive, you know. He meditates in a graveyard. He smokes ganja. He's an undesirable to society. Why is that? Well, because society is afraid of one thing, looking at itself, seeing what it's made of. Individuals. And you as an individual are afraid of your own individuality. And this is where totalitarianism can really get in to our way of life. Because we as individuals are afraid of our own individuality. And we don't know who we are. And we try to grab onto some fixed identity that will never work, because this identity, this reality, which is an identity, is itself constantly changing. Now, some people will use that as a way to get slippery with things and say that nobody knows what reality is and you can't tell me anything because nobody knows. That's not what this is saying. Shiva would destroy that concept too and show that there are clearly things that can be proven, that can be known, that can be said. But right now, we are in times where there is great division. Let me just show you an example. If I turn my camera around over there on the opposite, right about there, you can see the pro-Palestinian flag painted on this big giant hillside over there. One of several in the city. Stickers all over in support of Palestine. And I agree, we need to support Palestine. We need to wish for peace in Palestine. We also need to wish for peace for Israel. We need to wish for peace for us. We need to wish for peace for the Iranians, for the Chinese, for all the people. I mean, where are we going to draw that line? And why are we so afraid to not draw that line? We think we're going to get swept away. We think that we're separate. We really do. No, we really do. We really do. You really think that you're better than Donald Trump? Or you really think that Donald Trump is better than Kamala Harris? You really think that? You really do. You're really going to toe the line. You're really going to vote for whoever you're going to vote for. I support you. You should. You should vote for whoever you think is the best candidate in this and in every election. If you think voting is the best thing you can do is to not vote, then hey, that's your opinion. The thing is, are you doing it because you're getting carried along by society, or a micro-society, a subsect of society that you find yourself party to, or that you're trying to be part of? Or are you doing it based on your individual truth, your individual authority to exist, your individual birthright to exist on this planet as who you are? Do you think that Donald Trump is Hitler? Do you think that Kamala Harris is Chairman Mao from the Chinese Great Leap Forward? They're not. Neither one of them are. there may be some similarities, but those similarities are irrelevant and blown out of proportion. And that's just the fact. Now, there is a truth. There is a candidate who will do a better job than the other candidate. And there's things that could change that could make that outcome become the opposite. But there's a deeper issue, isn't there? There's the issue of the separation that we have amongst ourselves. We are being divided. And what we do right now is we say, well, yeah, because that candidate is dividing us. And in doing that, we have divided. We have done the very crime we're accusing them of doing. Because you can't separate yourself from anybody in this world. You see a crazy homeless person, doubled over, blown out of their mind from alcohol and drugs, and you go, ew, and you try to walk around them, but that's you. That's part of who you are. You see a old lady hobbling, trying to get on a bus. She kind of stumbles and falls. And you think, poor old thing, maybe I'll help her. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll laugh. But that's you. You see young kids with their pants sagging down below their butts, dressing up like something they saw on TV, all in the same way, and you want to laugh, and you think that they're foolish. You would never be like that, but that's you. That's you. You see criminals everywhere, and then you see great people too. You know, you see gods, you see athletes, you see politicians, celebrities, and you want to say that you don't have the authority. You see scientists, you see doctors. You don't have the authority. They have the authority. They're the ones who know. And to a certain degree, this is true. You know, we give them a lot of trust. We put authority onto them. But that authority comes from us. We lend it to them, to a priest or a healer or a shaman, a spiritual leader, a yogi, whoever it is, our guru. We give them that power. If they're good at what they do, if they're good at their job, then they will give you back that power. And if they're not good at their jobs, or if they're actually just tricksters, well, some tricksters are good too. But if they're not the good kind of trickster, if they're not the Shivite type of trickster, shall we say, of negative character, of banished character, the Batman archetype, well, then it's a different story. And so walking in this city, you know, you come across people here who are literally fighting for their rights and for freedom and justice. So you see these people that literally here have been fighting against dictatorship. It's a hooded woman, supposedly a pro-Palestinian thing, even though I'm pretty sure in Palestine that I don't think there's a very big feminist movement in Palestine, although, you know, I could be wrong. I'm not too up on those things. And so there's right here they're talking about the dictatorship, you know, on these walls, on these very walls. Graffiti. This is in itself right here a good example. I mean, we could take anything. But if you see here, You have people wondering what happened to the disappeared ones during the dictatorship. And you have those who think that things were better during the dictatorship and that want to go back to that. And you have the ones who hate them and the ones who hate the ones who hate them. And these situations clearly never get resolved. And so very often the question becomes, are we trying to get a resolution? Are we on the path towards a resolution? Or are we just spinning our wheels? There's one time I was just getting into the studies of Buddhism and spirituality, and a friend invited me to a temple in New York, just to pick him up, and then we were going to go somewhere else, actually, somewhere totally different, the Museum of Sex. I've told this story before. And but as we turned off the main dirt road out there in the mountains in New York, in the middle of nowhere, we turned onto this long, beautiful forest drive up towards the monastery. And there, when we turned, it was snowing, but right behind us it wasn't. And during the course of the evening, lots of funny things happened there, but when we tried to leave, the parking lot had frozen over, just a thin sheet of ice, and the car, it was difficult to get out. And so my friends I tried to push the car while they accelerated, in reverse. I was like, all right, move over, ladies, I got this. I couldn't do it. I was pushing the pedal to the metal and getting us more stuck, making a lot of noise during their silent retreat. And there was this little old Buddhist nun sitting nearby who I hadn't really noticed, bald. Somebody, if I saw out in public, I would probably discard or say something nasty about at that time. And she comes over and she's kind of laughing at me. And she says that she wants to try. And I'm like, yeah, sure, come on. Go ahead. And she does. She gets in and she's talking to me the whole time, talking crap the whole time. And she's going, you just have to let the car do the work itself and just give it a nice little tap. And she barely even touched the accelerator and the car left with no problems. And she had one of her feet out scraping the ice like she was ghost riding the whip or something. She was getting ready to hyphy that sucker. And ever since then, I've lived off grid a lot since then, and I see people get to these points and they try to spin their wheels and spin their wheels and spin their wheels and to get out or to get a little bit ahead, and it just gets you more stuck. And it's sort of like this action that seems brave, but is actually just fear and ignorance. We're afraid to actually examine the situation, examine ourselves as part of the situation, and understand that self-situation arise together. And so we're unable to see a solution. Of course, in my case, I was lucky. I got that nice little monk lady to come help me out, bail us out. But others might not be so lucky. So right now I'm walking towards the temple, the whistling temple, El Templo Silbante. Gonna see about doing satsangs there for our Ramdas community here in Chile. And we're walking back towards Lord Shiva right now. So, you are Shiva. You need to be Shiva. If you're a woman, Kali. You need Kali. If you're a man or woman, you need both. Shiva and Kali come together. And they serve a very important purpose. They're not demons, they're not evil. They are not opposed to God, they are God. God takes on many forms, and when you understand God, you know that God is everything and everywhere, including yourself. And that is called enlightenment. Enlightenment is important to attain. People who say that they're on the spiritual path right now, who are not trying to get enlightened, who have never taken that upon themselves as a goal, who don't even have a goal really spiritually. Just, what is your goal? To meditate every day until you die? Like, seriously, what is it? Like, you're gonna go to ceremonies and you're gonna take ayahuasca microdoses every day until you die? Is that what you're gonna do? What are you doing? What are you waiting for? You need to get enlightened. Like, you're wasting your damn time. You're wasting thousands and thousands of lives. You don't understand. You're making decisions and you're going through life, but you don't understand. And you're afraid to do it, but you don't know what you're afraid of. You don't know why you're afraid. Seriously, sit down and investigate it. It's going to take you years maybe, but you're going to come to the same conclusion. I promise you. You know, or something similar. If it's not fear exactly, maybe you're not interested because your desires are elsewhere. You're busy chasing money or chasing popularity or chasing girls or boys or whatever it is you're chasing. And realizing that you are everything that is just, you don't have time for that. Nice, beautiful, noisy garbage truck right here. Love it. Perfect for my video. The YouTube algorithm is gonna love this. I always try to keep it happy, you know, provide it what it wants. I'm walking right past this cafe. This is the Café del Pintor. All these little places here in this city are historic. One of these is the Café del Poeta, where Pablo Neruda often went to drink and write and hang out with the people. And so you have this graffiti all over, you know, and it's interesting because there's these big, fancy Victorian buildings, very, very ornate, very old, and they've gone through a lot. They've seen a lot. If these walls could speak, as they say, but they cannot. And we're afraid of silence. We're afraid of that dead space, that dead air, you know. I'm shooting a video right now and I'm supposed to be cool and trendy and I'm supposed to follow all the rules to be a YouTuber and all this stuff, and if it doesn't work, they're gonna be like, well, you didn't follow the rules. But the thing is, like, it's all bullshit, and and it's all an illusion. Because you're trying to have the experience inside of yourself. It's like you're this tiny little micro camera that can see in all directions, 360 degrees, and you're inside of yourself, and you're trying to like control yourself like an avatar. And you're watching the movie back in your head at night when you lay down to go to sleep. Like, how was the movie today? And you're going until the credits roll, and it's you, all the names, all the production, everything, the camera, the writers, the main actors, everything. It's all you. Yes, it is. The audience, the one watching it, is you. When are you going to realize this? When are you going to wake up? And of course, enlightenment is just one of the steps in the process. And then after enlightenment is when you come back into challenge mode, into the bodhisattva mode. That's what I'm doing here now. I'm in Bodhisattva mode. After getting enlightened on December 24th, 25th, 2014, I chose to return to my human life with all of my flaws and my problems, and no money, stinky old shoes with holes in them. Those Adidas All-Stars, the hemp All-Stars. They were full of cat pee and just, ugh. But I liked those. I mean, it was all I had, so what was I gonna do? It didn't matter if I liked them or not. And living out on farms, traveling from farm to farm, doing the WOOF program, which I've mentioned before. WOOF.org, WWOOF, WOOF, Worldwide Opportunities in Organic Farming. And it's really more like a school. Like, if you're interested in spirituality, you will find spiritual community, you will find spiritual guides this way. This is how I met my wife, who is one of my main spiritual guides. Of course, she's the top one. She's the number one. That's what it's all about. Happy wife, happy life. Shiva knew it. I know it. And there are these moments, though, of silence where there's nothing to say, and I'm supposed to fill it with something. You know, I should get a soundboard and play like some funny noises or something when I run out of something to say, so that you don't get bored and switch the channel on me. But I don't have that right now, so I'll work on that. But we just have to accept the silence. Silence is an opportunity to meditate, and when you meditate, you're just doing a part of a balanced lifestyle, just taking a moment to experience reality as it is. I mean, and you know, we're all just like regular people too. Like, I'm not a celebrity. You're probably not a celebrity. If you are a celebrity watching this, then hey, you know, hook me up, give me a shout out or something. But hey, you're probably not a celebrity, and I'm not trying to be a celebrity. You know, kind of forgot where I was going with that, but it's okay. We'll just sit here and just meditate. We'll just experience this reality. Why are we so afraid? Like, that's what I was saying. Like, life goes on without us. If I just sit here, if I was to just dissolve right now, this world would be 99.999% the same. Nothing would change. If I just dissolved into rainbow light right now, things would keep going. That's something, you know, to understand one's own irrelevance is something that Shiva can help guide us to do. Tell us that it's okay. And really, you're not losing anything. You're gaining something, if anything. You're really just losing your fear. Your fear to see the things that really are, the way things really are. So, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. It's not my world, it's not me, it's you. It's sort of a funny mantra. Of course, it is incorrect because it is you. You are Shiva. You are everything, everyone. What do you want from me? What else do you want? Like, I just gave you the secret. I gave you everything. You want more? You want to know how to do it? You want to know how to get there? I can't tell you that. You have to figure it out. I could tell you some of the steps. So some of the steps to get there, to become enlightened, is first you have to meditate. You just sit and observe and let things happen the way they happen. You don't try to deny it or ignore it or turn it into something else. Just observe. Observe your rejection. Observe your approval, whatever it is. Just observe it and then just stay and keep meditating. You can follow your breath if you want. You can follow a sound of the birds. that are there. I don't know if you can hear those little birdies coming in. Just choose something and let that be like your guide. And when you lose sight of that, that's your alarm to remember, oh, I lost sight of what I was doing. And then you just come back to it again and again and again and again. It can help if you consume ganja to calm your body. If you're a physically active person or you have a lot of physical anxiety, that feeling like you got ants in your pants, you need dance, you can't, it's difficult to sit or it's boring, and you need to look at your boredom too. And then you say, okay, boredom, 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 boredom. Don't let your mind try to slip away from it. Boredom, bring it back until it gets locked on. Okay, boredom, I'm gonna have to deal with this. I'm gonna have to get through this before I go to the next thing. Your mind wants to jump to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. Looking for, foraging for something juicy, something that gives it that golden nectar that it searches for constantly. But just wait a moment. Just stay a moment and see what happens, see what comes. Boredom, boredom, boredom. Where do I feel that boredom? Well, I feel maybe certain tensions here in my temples. I feel maybe like a tightness in my belly, down here, in my gut. Something about it, something that's like, oh, I'm rejecting this. This is sort of, there's like an element of disgust, perhaps. An element of social anxiety. We know, whatever it is, just kind of take a moment to home in on it, let it see what it is, let it present itself to you. And then just give it the name that it is, as precisely as you can. And then continue to meditate. You see? Can you feel that? If you've been meditating this time, you probably can feel that. If not, it'll come. And well, the night that Siddhartha became Buddha, Siddhartha sat down under the Bodhi tree and vowed to remain there in meditation no matter what until he reached enlightenment, until he became Buddha, awakened. And he did. Through the course of the night, many challenges came. The Lord of Demons came. Mara tried to make him feel unworthy and tempt him, distract him, scare him, all kinds of things. Sent armies against him. He just meditated, stayed there. Nothing was going to take him away. Death itself wasn't going to take him away. Same thing I did on that night, 2014, December 24th over to December 25th. You can read about it in my upcoming book, The Night I Got Enlightened. The actual steps I took. But the main thing was making the decision, taking that personal vow. I'm not going anywhere until I become enlightened, or until I die and see that I don't get enlightened, and then it's over. I'll see that there is no God, or that there is God and I was too far away, or I was on the wrong track. I'll finally know for sure where I am, what's real. Luckily, it didn't take to the point where they had to bury me in that spot. It just took one night of dedicated concentration, because things start to happen when you build up that concentration. The first thing you have to do is to build up the concentration, to break through the illusion, to keep your mind where you need it to be, to do the work it needs to do to become enlightened, to see reality, to understand reality, all of it, not just this planet, this universe, all of it, all time is one thing. And that's just, that's small stuff. That's just so small. That's like ABCs for you, because you are Shiva. Like I was saying, you are God. So it's just waking up to yourself, to your identity. You are a very powerful being, extremely powerful. And you're afraid of your own power because others who aren't real have told you to be afraid of your own power. They're afraid of our own power. Are there bad guys at the top in the government, in the CIA and MK Ultra who are manipulating us and keeping us limited, and 5G and vaccines and radiation and Dorito food coloring and all these things, yeah, you're right. You're damn right. That's true. That's happening. And those people are evil and they're bad and they're bad intention. But they're us. They're you. They're me. We are them. Because we're one. And we're bigger than all of this. And Shiva can take poison and turn it into life. It's not an excuse for what they do either. You can't bypass the reality of that. That's not what Shiva would do. Shiva doesn't bypass reality. Shiva is reality. Shiva's awakened. So are you. So you take that vow, you amass the concentration. After you've developed a way of meditating, like I just told you how to do it, you just sit and observe. And you don't stop. And eventually you'll see everything. You don't need a telescope, you don't need Google Earth, you don't need the internet. You have the internet in you, way more powerful. So you become enlightened. That's what this is all about. That's why you're here. Most people might not even hear about enlightenment or take it seriously if they do, just in passing. Most people think that you can't become enlightened. You have to be Buddha to become enlightened, or it's not real, it's just some weird story. People have all sorts of ideas about it. You can call it a different name too. Some people say awakening or moksha or liberation or realization or God consciousness, or whatever it is, that's fine. Whatever, I say enlightenment, it's fine. It's when you realize in your actual self, in your actual body, that you are not just your human body, but you are all human bodies, and you are all bodies, and you are all planets, and all space, and all realms of reality beyond this physical universe. Of course, you are also the physical universe, which is just a tiny little speck. And you are every astral plane, every hyperspace plane, every energetic plane, spiritual plane, spirit, soul. Then you see God. Then you realize you are God. Because it doesn't make sense for you to be apart from God, who is everything and everywhere. Omnipresent, omniscient. These things go together. These things are one thing. What is the other one? Omni something. It's omni. It's just one. It's one thing. It's Shiva. I could tell you exactly what God looks like, but God is constantly changing form. That's what God looks like. And it's not a metaphor. It's God's body. It's all knowledge. It's all life, all everything. So you have to get enlightened. You have to meditate and gather your concentration to be able to break through the matrix, the illusion, the fear, the desire, the boredom. You get the Kundalini out of you, that serpent spirit that feeds off of you, you get it out. And you expand and you become everything. It might take a few tries, it might get tricky. Probably will. It sure did for me, and you can read all about that in chapters 15 and 16 of my book. The trials were something else. All these tricks and trials and tests, and I could have failed. It wasn't something like that I could just come up with on the fly, like do this and that, and then you pass the test and you get your... I got enlightened at summer camp badge. It was way beyond that. But it came from me at the same time. I didn't do it. You know, when we're humans, we're doing everything. Everything we have to do. We have to walk, we have to work. By the sweat of your brow, you will earn your daily whatever. Because we were bad boys back in the day. And girls, bad boys and girls. And we still are. We haven't learned a damn thing. So to close, I'm just going to do a quick chant before I head off to the Templo Silvante. Oh. Shivaya.